just finished what I thought was the second season of how a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom. Every time. It's always something. But anyway, it turns out, I don't think it's the second season. I think what I read was it's actually the first season, which was supposed to be 26 episodes, but they split it. And I'm assuming maybe it was COVID, or maybe they just thought it'd be easier, whatever reason. It's on Hulu. There are 26 episodes. I really loved it. Now, the first, I'm going to say it's like the first core. They focused a lot on how, like, magic works, and, you know, Soma kind of, you know, being put on the throne, and then kind of getting to know all these other characters, and him tackling, like, the food shortage, and then the war with Amadonia, and we get a little taste of the demon, hearing about it, we never really see it, is basically, like, they start with the lore of the world, and how, like I said, magic works, and then, the demons coming through a portal, whatever, and then, with Tomoe, we get a little bit of, damn it, that's annoying, a little bit of, I feel like there's, like, a piece of hair just, like, I fucking hate that, and then you go like that, and you can't find it. There's several times it'll just be, like, on my nose or something, like, how the fuck, or my eyelashes, and I'm just like, ah. Anyway, but how, the demons came from the portal, wherever the fuck it was, and then, how, you know, humanity went to confront them, and then them losing, and then, them expanding, and kind of, like, taking over part of the country, and how the Grand Chaos Empire is kind of, like, the biggest military force to stop them, so the other kingdoms have to kind of send resources to them, and how someone else gets handed over, and that's why he's there. And then, like I said, we do get, like, a little taste of, like, we don't see them. The only real, like, actual sight of the demons is, like, Tomoe having a flashback, how, she was in the forest, and then she kind of ran into, like, a dog demon or whatever, and how this dog basically said, you can understand what I'm saying, because apparently these demons, they speak a different language, like, they don't understand each other, and, but she's able to talk to animals, so she can understand him somehow, and basically he warns her, hey, you have to leave now. I don't want someone who smells like me, like a similar species, to die, essentially, and that's how she gets away, and she eventually tells, you know, Soma, who's king at this point, and yeah. So we have more of the demon stuff in the first half of the show, like the first 13 episodes, and then the second half, we don't really focus on it. It's much more focused on the Grand Chaos Empire, and Amadonia, having, like, a civil war, and kind of annexing into Soma's country, I can't remember the name, and then eventually it becoming the empire country of Fredonia. They kind of join. And then him focusing on the refugee crisis. And the thing I like about this show is that they take the time to explain everything to you, but it doesn't feel like it's ham-fisted into your throat. It's not, like, huge dialogue dumps. It's, like, little bits of dialogue and story elements that'll pile up over time, and you'll learn the story, rather than, like, here's an expedition dump of, like, a fucking book and a half, and have fun trying to understand or remember any of this. And I love that they don't do that. Like, whatever little bits of information they gave, I was interested. I wanted to learn more. I didn't feel like it was being shoved in my face. I didn't feel like, here's something I'm not going to give a shit about later. Oh, here's this random fucking thing they put in lore just for the sake of lore. It's not actually, it doesn't feel important, you know? Like, what they're saying, it's interesting, it's in little bits and pieces, it's easy to understand, and, like I said, it piles up and builds the story over time. And, I also like how a lot of these stories, I am a sucker for the OP protagonist. It never feels like, oh, he's the hero, he's going to save the world, and everyone's going to be fine, he's going to do everything and fix everything, and no, there are times where, like, we know that he's making intelligent choices, but he isn't all-powerful. He's having to depend on other people. Like, it's not just one character and his fucking harem, and he can fix everything. It's not that. Soma is an actual person. He feels like a person. You know, the other characters, they feel like people. They actually matter. Like, I can understand why he would like certain characters, why they would like him, how he makes decisions and how he sometimes, like, he kind of laments on the fact that did I make the right decision, did or not. Like, in the first 13 episodes, he was very focused on the food shortage. And then, because of that, he kind of had to put, what was it? It's like what was it? It's like the God something forest, Aisha's home, because he had to focus on the food shortage because that was like the main issue, was kind of like internal affairs. And then the story is he kind of suggests, well, are you keeping up? She basically describes the it's like no new trees are growing, and he's like, well, have you been thinning the forest? And of course she's like, what? And he's like, well, what the thinning of the forest is basically to upkeep a woodland is you fell a certain number of trees so that other trees can grow. And he explains, which I also thought was very interesting, the way he explained it. Like, again, it's those details that make sense without him fisting it down your throat. And basically he explains that, well, when you don't cut down trees, a lot of old trees grow, and that because they come so tall, that blocks out the younger trees, like the sunlight getting to them. And then, of course, because the ground's not getting sunlight, it doesn't have as much water retaining ability, so that makes it easier for landslides and that kind of thing. And he kind of has to put it on the back burner, and then we have, a landslide happens because there's a bunch of rain, and he manages to get there and help people, but people do die. Like, he's not able to save everyone. People do die. And he's like, I should have... Well, he basically... What it sounded like he was trying to say is that the king's job is to put things in place for emergencies to happen, not make them while they are happening. So, I'll try to think of a way to explain this, like an analogy. Like, let's say, like, when you ride a bike, you have a bike helmet, and you wear that because you don't want to hurt, like, your head, to protect your head, right? Well, what he's saying is, like, here's a helmet to protect you because there's a possibility it could happen, rather than you fall off, hit your head, and be like, oh shit, we probably should have used a helmet, huh? Does that make sense? Like, I don't know how else to explain it. For some reason, like, that's what popped in my head to explain what I'm trying to have him I don't know. Anyway, so I'm a little sad we didn't get as much interaction with the other countries. Like, we did have Amadonia in the war with them, and then we had, like, the civil war that happens in Amadonia because of what happened in the end of the first half, which is basically they decided to try and invade one of the towns or whatever of Soma's Kingdom. I can't remember the name for the life of me. Elfrieden. It's Elfrieden, isn't it? I'm fucking stupid. And Gaius, who was he a prince or the king? He was the one ruling at the time, and then it was his son. His son manages to escape because he lets him escape, and of course Gaius decides to try and kill Soma. He ends up dying. Soma kind of takes over. He decides to go to the capital of Van, like, after stopping them from invading. Where there's Elfrieden's side, and then in retaliation to go to Van, and he ends up taking over Van and actually making it better, ironically enough. And he uses this, like, a saying, I don't know what country it's from, but he basically says his tyranny is more terrible than tigers. And I thought that was just so cool. But basically what he's saying is, yes, someone's not the best situation. Like, he did technically take over this place. Granted, it was in self-defense to stop them from attacking. So he's the tiger in the situation, but the tyranny of the former monarchy in that country was the greater evil. And he even has, like, a moment where he talks to Prince, or, I don't remember his fucking name. Gaius' son, and basically he tries to warn him by saying that tyranny is more terrible than tigers, which is, like, he's never making fun of him, he's not mocking him, he has no problem giving up the country again to him. However, what he's basically saying, in not so many words, without really saying it to him, is if tyranny is more terrible, if you keep doing this tyranny, your people are going to revolt. There's going to be a civil war, and that's what fucking happens. A civil war happens. And he decides, the prince or whatever the fuck is, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, decides to, of course, put down the rebels, and they go to Soma and say, hey, we'll give you this. We want to annex. In exchange, please help us with this asshole, essentially. And that's what happens is, and the reason he says, it's not just like, oh, let's go help everyone. He's like, to be perfectly honest, he's like, if we do this, there's going to be trouble. But at the same time, if we don't, there's going to be even more refugees and even more trouble later on if we don't do this. So he takes the lesser evil. Like, it's never just, like, you can tell he's the type of person that he would love to help people, but at the same time, he's not so stupid to believe that la 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 freaking doll can save everyone. Like, I love that about this story, is that it doesn't feel OP. It doesn't feel like he can just magically pull a wand out of his ass and everything's gonna be okay, and no one's gonna die, and he's making all the right choices, and there's no other choice that would have been better. Like, no, you see him reflect, like, did I make the right choices? What were the consequences of my actions? What are the, like, the good things of these actions that are having? Who can I get that can help me with this problem? Like, yes, I can take over the refugees and, like, help the refugees, but, like, later on in the second part of I won't say, like, say the second season, right? Like I said, the split. It's the first season essentially, and it's when he tackles the refugee crisis, he says, "Hey, look, here's the thing. I either need you to join our kingdom, or you're gonna have to leave. Because technically, what you're doing is normally this farming outside the kingdom would be considered illegal." And Lucia's like, well, we've been doing it this long. He's like, right, we've been tolerating them for this long. It's not that he doesn't want to help them. It's that they just got over a food crisis. They just got over a potential civil war. They just got over being invaded. And he's like, look, I would love to help you, but I fucking can't. This is what I can do realistically. If you're not going to join, I can't help you. Like, he's always, like, saying in quotes or something from his world. And he's basically like, hey, look, a country is like a big person. They're happy to help people that, are kind of like family to them, but they're not so broad-minded to help you if you don't love them back. And that's basically what he is. And he went to, like, the refugee camp to kind of solve it. And he's basically like, you either have to come and be part of our kingdom, or you gotta go. You can't stay here. We can't support you. We don't have the resources. We can't do it. If you keep doing this, it is going to incur the wrath of the people because they just got over all these problems. And all these other problems were bigger, which is why they couldn't focus on the refugees right now. And then he also tackles slavery, and then, again, I think this is more realistic, because a lot of times it's like, we can stop slavery immediately. Like, no, he's like, look, I would love to, but the reality is I can't stop it just like that. I can't. Because there's going to be people going outside and doing it. However, what I can do is make it so it's less profitable to do these things. So what he does is he turns the slave traders into public servants. So instead of getting rid of slavery completely, which would, again, for, like, the rich assholes, that would cause a pushback and could potentially cause a civil war or something. So what he does is he's like, what we're going to do is, it was technically like a slave trader, his son or whatever, kind of like his dad or whoever dies, and then he inherits it. And he's like, to be frank, I don't want to fucking do this. I can't really do this job. So what he does is, in order to help them get better people, he decides to educate them, teach them how to read and write. And he also looks for very specific buyers who, at the very least, are not going to treat them like shit. So, yes, they're shit no matter what, because they are slave traders, but like the lesser evil, essentially. Like, who can I pick in this shitty situation who's going to give them the best treatment possible? Like, who's not going to abuse them? Who's not going to separate them? Who's not going to be working them into a grave? Like, the best of a bad situation. And I like that element of not sugarcoating everything, not saying he can fix everything, not making him this OP magical who's in what's it so it's someone from another fucking world. And I think it's just a very good show. I would love to have more. I want to read the manga. And I just found myself loving all the little lore bits and liking the characters, and, like, I believe why they like Soma. I believe why he likes them. I believe that he believes he's making the best choices, but he knows damn well that maybe that's not actually the best choice that of all the choices that could have been, And then we also finally get, in the last episode, the reason why Adalbert handed over the throne to him, and why they have been kind of secluding themselves and not involving themselves in what's going on, and also, like, what was going on with Carmine. And again, so, like, I really love this story, and I can't tell you everything I love about it, because I just can't put it into words. I just know that I felt extremely satisfied, but at the same time I want more. and they didn't say season 2 or it just said Finn. So like the end of the like it was Finn, whatever, at the end of the episode, and I just really love it. There are a few things I was a little bit surprised about. Like I thought for sure they would go the route of the Grand Chaos Empire. Like I was a little misled in like when I saw the trailer because I can't remember if I was like combining two other animes. Like you ever do that and like your brain puts things together that aren't necessarily from the same thing. So I don't know if it was that, but like I felt like I saw a trailer somewhere where he's at like a table. Now I think about it, I think that was actually I know it's okay. I misjudged that and then misremembered. Okay, so in the trailer, it's he's at a table with someone talking, and it's another person from another country. I just realized now. Oh no, that did happen, but it was when he was talking. Was her? I think her name's Jane, right? There's the Empress from the Chaos Empire, and then her sister Jane comes to Soma and basically talks to him. The reason she comes is because of the Mankind Declaration, which is basically let's all band together to fight against the demons. And a big thing is that any change taken from, military action to the border will not be recognized. So, essentially, even though he went to Van to stop them, technically, he can't keep Van. Like, it's gonna cause problems. But he didn't sign on to the Grand Chaos episode. We didn't, or he didn't sign on to the Grand Chaos's Mankind Declaration for a reason, and the reason is because he'll explain later. Or he actually explains into this, and if I remember correctly, it's basically there's a loophole in it that could end up breaking off the Empire, like having like infighting or something. I don't know, but just every episode was good. There was never an episode I didn't like. There was never a character that I wasn't interested in, and you actually get to see like just a different side of like anime, because like I said, usually it's a lot of OP-ness and let's save the world and I can save the world, I can save everybody, which is it's not realistic, let's be honest. But I like how it makes the magic, the story bits, the decision of other characters mean something and kind of have a little bit of reality to it. Like a lot of shows or something, they're like, I have magic, it's because I have fucking magic in this world. Where he's like, this is the reason why. This is why their technology is this, because of this. Like how he's like, how could they have these massive steel battleships when there's no... Like, this didn't happen until the Industrial Revolution. He's like, well, to be honest, the technology to build those ships did exist, however, there was nothing to pull the weight of that ship, where in this world, there's fucking sea dragons that can pull that fucker. So, and then there's, of course, like, they didn't need guns because they have fucking explosion magic and fire magic. And so there's it makes there's some reality in there, and it makes it easy to like, oh yeah, okay, I can see how that would work. Like it doesn't break your, what is it? I've heard like Angry Joe say it like a million times. Like your suspension of belief. There you go. Like it doesn't like it. There's a little bit of nugget in there that like, okay, that makes sense to why that would be a thing, and I love that. Anyway, I could go on and keep rambling and never put these thoughts together, but basically, it's on Hulu. There's 26 episodes total. It is really, really good. I highly recommend it. I love it. And I really want more, whether it's OVAs or reading the manga or a movie or just anything. I could definitely see myself just getting even more obsessed with it. I was talking a lot and I forgot to breathe. Okay, like, comment, subscribe, check my other videos, and bye.